Okay, I think we're live now. I'm very bad at following this to make sure it's actually working, but post something in the chat if you can hear me and if we're actually live and all of that. But today we are going to be continuing the spell language conlanging to make some more spells. That's the goal for today. I have the witch hat on as is appropriate. I have new dagger earrings because I lost my tiny one, so I figured go big or go home, giant daggers. Unrelated. But yes, so I have here the spell we had been working on in the last stream, which, let's see. Okay, there we go. Yes, okay, I think this is working. But we had been working on the spell in the last stream, and it was overly complicated. I was trying to kind of step up in difficulty because, hello, hi, Aaron. We were trying to step up the difficulty to start building up some of the language foundations of some of the oh gosh, someone told me what the word was. Is it like definitive or I have notes of it somewhere, but essentially like the non-nouns, right? Like the pieces of grammar that we need, starting to build those up and use more complex pieces of it. And we went too far, far too far last time where we created essentially this spell where we had the same, beginner bit of every spell. And then normally a spell just has this, which is our main verb. We had an unincorporated bit of the verb, but then we also had an entire conditional statement, which was a lot. And I still haven't gone through, I have notes, but I haven't gone through and added that into the code object here for building the spells. So I can't actually build that one for real. But as a example, if I scroll up here, let's see, where's a good one? Start fire. That spell is literally just you have the verb root being fire, and then the action morpheme causative, right? So to cause fire, and then the spatial determiner. Is that what I'm looking at? Spatial determiner is medial. So that means start a fire where I point, right? So that's a pretty simple one, right? We have all of these already coded. So you can see here, fire is vli, causative is do, medial is C or T, depending on, I believe if it's at the start or the end of the word, because there's different, or in the middle, because there's different rules for that. But we want to build more spells. And so I think I might have a few documented in here that we can start with, or we can just try and find something a little bit more interesting. So let's see, what do we have that we've started doing? We did stirring, make the building wet was our weird one. Magic spell, that's just, I need to actually codify it. I'm currently drawing the ocean topography of my world while watching your live stream. Brilliant, brilliant. I think it's always good to multitask. Plus, ocean topography is great. I don't know if I posted this in my Discord. I am planning on starting to work on the world map of this via on this globe. I painted it white and marked all the lines in Sharpie, and I'm going to be working on adding the land masses and then, painting it onto there. I'm one day might stream that. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, paint all the things, draw all the things, map all the things. Okay, so what spell do we want to do? I feel like I left notes before the last stream and then I completely lost them. But what would be a good spell? Let's go through what we haven't used and see what we could use that would be new. Hello, I hear you. Hello, welcome. So let's see. I'm just going to click through these real quick and see what we figured out. None of our aspect markers are fleshed out yet. So something with an aspect marker, although we have to be careful not to get too complicated like last time, because that was the entire stream was trying to figure out how the grammar of that would work. But so we could do something that's performing a spell repeatedly, beginning or starting it, ceasing or stopping it. No more conditional, so we're not doing a conditional right now. Or durative, which a durative would add a another statement because you'd have to say how long the duration would be. So this would definitely add a, I'm not sure how you would refer to that in fancy linguistic terms, but like that other separate clause, I guess. Cesative would not require a separate clause. Neither would inceptive. Or iterative, unless you were going to say like what sort of iteration schedule to use. So that one might be more complicated. So maybe a start or a stop. The dative triggers a recipient or beneficiary. Good morning. Oh, it is. It's like 2 p.m. here. I always have that moment where I forget that like there are more time zones than one in the world, and then I'm like mildly confused for a fraction, very, very small fraction of a second. Then I'm like, ah, yes, people live in other places around the world than where I live. As convenient as that would be for scheduling purposes, but yes, we are working on figuring out what spell we want to do next, avoiding getting as complicated as last time. I don't want to add any additional clauses, so we're avoiding anything that's like a conditional, like we did last time. So dative would be a pretty simple thing because you would just need to add like the recipient, which would just be unincorporated. So that would be fine. We could do something dative. Do something instrumental. Basically, all these triggers, I think, would all be fine. Yeah, all these triggers is happening away from, yeah. So maybe we do something with a trigger. So let's see. So do something with an instrument or to an instrument. So that would be like, let's see. Never done conlanging in Java. I didn't know you could. I have like a really, really poor memory and I'm really, really bad with grammar. So my goal with doing it like this is that I'm trying to take something that I really don't understand, aka conlanging, and putting it in a rigid structure that I do understand, which is Java programming, because that is what I do for my real job, is I program Java that is way better quality than this not so good Java that I'm doing. But yeah, I have everything in the language setup in here, which I don't think I've done a little tour of real quick, but I have all the language rules coded. So like what all the weights are for basically being able to generate things randomly, which sounds or letters are allowed in the language. I have other types of validation that happens. Different library features, different builder methods for generating things randomly, stuff like that. So I'm just not doing that sort of thing. And then I defined a bunch of objects for all the parts of the spells that we're building, which we did. And we didn't do that in code where we figured out the grammar of that, but then I built the spell object and now I can define them like this. And then eventually we'll have our Sandi or our sound change system that we can then run all the outputs of all of these through and get what the spells would be after applying the sound changes and stuff. Yes, working on your computer now. Good. I'm glad you managed to get that working. Instrumental is more like doing something with or through something. It's basically equivalent to the with proposition in English. It's common for instrumentals to turn into commitatives. Commitatives? One of those pronunciations. I'm awful at pronouncing everything, if you haven't watched one of these before. So would it only allow for agglutinative languages, or could you do fusional ones as well? So keeping note that I'm very unfamiliar with all, have a vague idea of maybe what those terms you're using mean, I think you could do it for both. You just have to code it differently, right? Like, I'm not making this code available to other people right now because it's so hyper specialized to the things that I've done in them so far. They cannot currently do any sort of full conlanging, right? Like, you can't do everything in here. But I originally built it to be able to do just naming language building, which like what's one of the ones I did? I think this is the ones I did before, where I have a different set of rules. I have some like middle coda letter weights, the library of words I've built up, and this was all basically like really, really basic like building of things, right? So I had ways to build full names, possessive statements, stuff like that. Like just the very specific things I needed for just a naming language, not actual full grammar. And then I've expanded that a little bit to do spell language with just objects. So it's very, very limited to the ways I've used them so far, but I would think it's fairly extensible for other types of conlanging that I might want to do in the future and other types of language I might want to use in the future. I would just then have to like build up the base library to handle those things slowly over time in this probably not super efficient way of doing it, but like, you know, um, time zones threw me too. Yeah, they throw me a lot. Since it's 1 p.m. there. Yeah, so we're probably only one off. Okay, so he said he writes with a pen. The pen is instrumental here, but at the same time, he went to the party with some friends. Those friends are commutative. Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. So if we wanted to do something instrumental where you do something with something, I feel like that's reasonable. You could tell them to like sweep the porch with a broom. I don't know why you'd have a specific spell for that, but like that would be instrumental. What's something that would be, it doesn't have to exactly be stuff that I'm going to use in my book, but let's see. I mean, I could say chop this with the knife, but I feel like that's a little bit less something that would be in the possibilities for what a spirit could do, is like actually chop something with the knife. I mean, maybe they could. Like maybe that would be fine. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, mispronouncing things is definitely a thing. And yeah, I try to keep everything as like English readable as possible because that's, I don't get to control pronunciation at all with just written words, but you know, whatever is basically fine. Um Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a process. But yeah, and I feel like if I was more experienced, I could do it manually and it would make sense to me, but like my brain struggles like trying to, the idea of like coming up with all the possible sounds for things, or like even just coming up with all the little morpheme bits and the syllables that fit the rules, like that's something that my brain really struggles with. So like even if it's just for having the rules and then having the random generators, I feel like this is incredibly helpful for me. Which again, for people that can just keep all that stuff in their mind and just do it, it's less crazy. Start a fire with the matchstick. Oh, that's a good idea. Although, wait, okay, hold on. No, that one wouldn't make sense because they can just, I think they can just like start fire. Like, so I'm assuming anything that's like overly capable of winds. So like winds can bring heat, so they can just create heat. Like that's kind of the really rough logic I'm trying to use here. But that might still work. That might still work actually, cuz like hmm. No, I think maybe that would work. I think maybe that wouldn't work. I think we need to go something that's like less elemental based, cuz if we're trying to go instrumental, cuz they can just do that on their own. So let's do something that's like either chop it with a knife or like sweep with a broom or lock with a key. It's hard because I feel like a lot of times an instrumental statement is typically pretty obvious what you're supposed to be using. Cause like then again, like sweep with a broom, why would they need a broom to sweep, right? They just blow things away. Maybe if it's something like scrubbing, like clean the floor with a sponge, right? Like that would be something that would be distinct where you would need that qualifier, maybe something like that. Let's go up above this crazy one because that spell is just absolutely crazy. So let's do clean the floor with the sponge, something like that, or rag. Doesn't matter too much there. But okay, so let me copy a spell down here. And we're going to call this the scrub with rag spell. New subscriber. Oh, welcome, Kessie. Thank you for subscribing. I'm a really bad conlanger, so like, you know, don't take any advice from anything I say ever. I posted my world on my channel's community tab if you want to see it. Ooh, okay. I'll have to go check that out later. That's really cool. Okay, I need to remember to do that. Could even be absorb water with a sponge. That's true. Like soak up water with the sponge and then you tell them to scrub with the sponge, so we could do a two-parter. That could be good. I like that. Okay. Let's do 2 then. Because then we'll have 2 examples, which I think will help for generating. So soak up water. Wow. I can spell. S-O-A. Soak up water with the rag. So, okay. So then I don't know how familiar everyone is with the structure of this, but let me pull that up real quick just so that everyone can see it. I'm going to stop the screen real quick. Present, share screen, PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. So this is the spell structure that we are using here for my spells. So basically this part, the topic marker and the mood clause, is basically the same. So I'm not using them in building the spells here, but we're mostly looking for the verb part here, which I'm going to scoot this over. You can't see it, but if we're scrubbing with a rag, so scrubbing is going to be with our verb, and then with the rag is going to be the instrumental trigger, and the rag will be a indirect object, right? Someone tell me if I'm being stupid. An indirect object, and indirect objects are unincorporated. So we will have the verb stem, which will basically be scrub. We will have a, where are my triggers? We will have a post-verb valency trigger, which is our instrumental trigger, and then the unincorporated indirect object, which is rag, and then it will have the little trigger marker on the end. Yes, I think that is how that will work. So then I'm going to switch us back to the code real quick. Share screen, window, the code. There we go. Okay. So what we're looking to do here is going to be scrub, which we'll have to build that out somehow. That might be a verb root and verbalizer morpheme, but basically scrub, and then that will have the post-verb instrumental trigger, and then a space, and then unincorporated rag with locative marker is what that sort of looks like. So we're going to need to build the verb root here, which we'll do in a minute. And then let's see. Pronoun, previous spatial determiner is direct object of pronoun. Proper noun, there's no direct object. So locative marker is going to be here. Oh, wait. Did I do that right? Instrumental trigger marker. So instrumental trigger with, which is just a question mark right now. So we'll have to actually determine what that's going to be. But then we're going to have indirect objects to noun cases, which is that thing at the bottom. So we're basically going to have to do rag to the marker, which is a noun declension suffix instrumental, which is just going to add a V to the end, right? So these are all the pieces we need. Let's go over to our morphemes and make a word for rag. Be under here. The noun. rag. So, like, eventually, like, maybe this would be, like, a compound word that means, like, something cloth or something, like, or this could just be the word for cloth, maybe. I'm not sure, but we want something for that, so we need to decide what that is going to be. So let's go to our main, where is it? Here we go. Our main method, which is currently right here. I don't want it to print all the spell book entries, but I want it to build a bunch of syllables. So right now what it's going to do when I run this is it is going to generate 50 words with one syllable in it that match the rules of the language. I'm going to say build, and we have a bunch of words. And at some point, I need to have it rule out all the ones we've already used, which I have it set up to do. I just haven't actually codified everything and added it to the list of things to exclude from. But we could do something like whim. We could do something like, yeah, kind of like whim. Fam. Fam could be fun. Lus. Fill. Let's see. Library. So we don't have anything that kind of looks like sun. We could just do sun. Let's do that. Let's just do sun. Because I don't know, why not? So then we'll copy this. Go to my spell library. Soak up the water. Oh, here we go. Scrub with the rag. So I will just rag dot get morpheme. And then this is going to be the same as for this. The soak up water with rag spell. It'll be the same one there. And it will be the same instrumental trigger as well. So add that there. We do not want a spatial determiner because we're just saying, you know, we're not specifying that in this spell. So we'll get rid of those. And then we need scrub, which, let's think, how do we want to build that? Scrub. Okay. So when it comes to making a verb, we can either use a word and then add an action morpheme to make it a verb, or it could be a word that just is a verb. So like stir, that's just stir. It just is a verb, so it kind of has the base verbalizer on it. So if we wanted to do scrub, that's not really causative or terminative or creational. Play the few. I mean, we could potentially. It could be like use a cloth. Could mean scrub if we used instrumental. But I don't really want to. I don't think that is clear. So maybe we do. Does everyone have the ability to start files or fires, or could some people need a spell and some not? So the way this magic system with spells works is essentially there are, like, I'm calling them spirits for the case of these streams just for simplicity's sakes, but essentially spirits that sort of exist in another realm. And by using these words, if you're a witch, those commands can cross the boundary into the other realm, and the spirits hear it, and they can act out what you're telling them to do in the world. And there's more complicated things about like levels of like the witches and the spells, and you know, like you can't command a super powerful spirit to do something because they might not listen to you, etc. But essentially, it's just people don't have any innate magic other than the ability to command the spirits to do things, which is why they have to like tell the spirits to do them. Is kind of how that works at a high level. But yes, so I'm thinking we're just going to have this be a base, maybe. I wouldn't use inflectional cases for deriving terms. That could get very confusing very fast. You could probably get away with using a root that describes the texture of the rag. The coarse thing. Yeah, I feel like something like that could work. But yeah, I feel like I agree that it would be confusing in this case, which is, I think it just needs to be a verb by itself. But I think something like, yeah, I think something here that's just scrub, right? Or I think that's the ones we're using. We have scrub, and then we have like soak up water, which, let's see. Well, we'll focus on scrub with the rag. I think scrub just needs to be a base here. So the way that will work is we'll do scrub, and my spell builder already knows that if I don't give it an action morphemes, it knows it's a base. So what it will do is it will look at what the base ends in. So in this case, for Jew, it knows that that ends in a vowel. So it'll apply the base morpheme onto it that follows a vowel. And if I have it end in a consonant, it'll apply the right one. I have it set up to do that. So let's pick something else that means scrub. I haven't done something that ends in a consonant yet, so maybe we do that. Maybe we do like fam, just because why not? The part of the reason I like doing these in code like this is that at any point in time, I can go in and change one of these and just regenerate everything, and I don't have to like remember, because I won't. So yes, let's go with scrub, just straight up. Spell library, scrub. So then this spell should essentially be saying scrub with, and then instrumental rag bit there. So let's add this spell to my spell book. That's actually quite genius. Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah, the code part of doing it all. Yeah. Well, again, I have an awful memory, and I don't I feel like if you understood all this stuff linguistically a lot better, like it would be easier to keep applying these things, but like it's a lot for me. Like honestly, doing all of this is very overwhelming for me, and having the help of people like watching and giving me feedback and being like, this thing you're doing is actually called this, or typically when languages do this, they also do this, and like stuff like that is very helpful for me. But yeah, I remember nothing. So if I know it once, long enough to tell the code what to do, then it works out. So okay, scrub with rag spell. So rag. Here we go. And then what's that third argument? So it's the name, the spell, the level, and a description. So scrub with the rag. This one's pretty simple. And then I have a thing to determine what level it is. This is a pretty basic one, so I'm going to keep that at like a 1, because I think that's kind of the level it is. So now it's in the list. And then I'm going to go back to my main method. I'm going to uncomment the part that prints all of my spellbook entries and comment out all the random syllables. Run this. Okay, so now where is it? Scrub with rag spell, right here. So we still have to do that one part, but it'd be fami something sanv, which there is no sandhi yet, so it's not applying that. I didn't expect to see coding. Yes. Yep. That's the weird thing here. Okay, so let's go back and figure out what we're missing, where that question mark is real quick. I think that's the there we go. I think that's this instrumental trigger. Yeah. So we're going to go here, and we need to figure out what we want that trigger to look like. And if I remember what I'm doing, is it the terminal? No. It's fine. I totally know how this version of IntelliJ works. It's not the one I normally use. I can't remember how to pull it back up without rerunning it. but we want an instrumental marker. I'm going to have it do everything again. So it's going to print the spellbook entries again, and it's going to give me a bunch of example syllables. So we'll just run that real quick. Let me scroll back up. So it'll follow fa mi. So fa mi something. So fa mi ya, fa mi vu, fa mi vil, fa mi ni, fa mi li, fa mi nu, fa mi mar, fa mi miss. Fa mi miss is kind of interesting. Let's go with that. Let's just do that one. Miss. So we'll put that here. And then we'll see if we still like this once we build out that other spell that uses this. We'll try to do something maybe that ends in a opposite vowel or consonant, right? Because this follows, yeah, scrub ends in a consonant. So we'll pick something for, I guess, soak up that doesn't end in a consonant, just so it's showing it differently a little bit and we get a little bit of a different example of how that's used. So then if we run it again with, we'll just comment that out this time, rerun, and now we have Famimis Sanv is our spell for, well, that's just the part that is like scrub with a rag, right? So you would have the beginning part of the spell first, but Famimis Sanv. I feel like that makes sense. And again, all of this is pre-sound change. So like there could be some sound change applied to this. But if you'll see here, I have all of these. They log what they are before Sandhi, which right now is all the same. But once we create that system, which I'm going to work on Wednesday, it'll show the final spell and the before spell. So we can tweak something in sound change, rerun this. It'll apply on every single spell and everything we've generated so far. And we can look at the difference and try and figure out if we like how it's changing things or if we need to tweak something or if something still seems weird and we want to add a rule for it. We will have lots of space to do that. So I think that's good for that spell. So we have scrub with a rag. So now we want to do soak up water with a rag. So obviously the with a rag instrumental, like all of this is all the same, but we need to do the soak up water. So with this language, soak up water, I think water is a direct object here. So that goes, which one is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is our direct object. I was tempted to make this in Kotlin, which is another language where you can like label things a little bit easier, just because this is one of the annoying parts of it. So then this is going to be our little Boolean that says, is direct object a proper noun? Because proper nouns are not incorporated into the verb stem. So if it is a proper noun, it'll put it in a different place of the word. And if it's not a proper noun, it'll incorporate it. And in this case, it is not a proper noun. So we'll say false. So we need the word for water, which I think we already have. Well, we have wet. We have the word for wet, which I feel like is what we would use here. Because it kind of means, like, I feel like that's more of a vague term. So let's do of wet. And then we need like soak, which we either need it to be a base of verb again or it to be a root that has an action morpheme on it. So soak. I mean, we could, you could almost say like, causing wetness is rain, I think is what we did previously. So I don't think we want to use anything like that, or creating wetness was like creating rain. That was how we created that before. Oh, this could be the one that's like using a sponge, right? But I think that's kind of confusing. Trying to think if there's any way to do it without it being odd. Soak. Absorb, right? Absorb absorb, bestow. I don't think there's a good action morpheme to use for that unless someone thinks of something I do not. So I think we're going to just need to create a word for absorb. So, hold on. Remove creational. Remove creational. So destructional? The negated creational is destructional right now. So I don't know if that would really make sense here with how that's being used. Like to undo the creation of. Don't know if that would make sense. I really need to just keep. No, literally put the creational on a root. Root meaning remove. Oh, okay. So that would be. Okay, so a root meaning remove, but where it's not already a verb, so lessness of something. So taking it out of where it is. Ooh, I like that. Okay, that goes with the vibes here of this language. I like that a lot. Okay, so take it out of where it is. Yes. So remove creational. So what would that word be? It would be remove, create the state of there being less of. So I'm not sure if that would just be the word for less, like create less, maybe. Create less. Less. Okay. Here we're getting into my lack of any knowledge of anything grammatical. What kind of word is less? It's a adjective? Is that an adjective? No. Is it an adjective? It's like an adverb or something. I don't know. We'll put it here under nouns because I don't know what it is. Because I don't know English. So yes, I think we do less. And then I'm just going to make it a morpheme for now. Because I don't know what that is. Less. Create less. I like that. Less, I believe, is an adverb usually in English. Okay. So it is an adverb. I'm just going to put that here in the name of it because I will forget. And I don't currently have an adverb as an option in here. Lessen would be a verb. And here we're saying something that's almost like lessify or lessenify something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think that will work. I think that works. So let's bring less over here. So less, and then the next parameter here is our action morpheme of action morpheme causative. Oh, wait, no, creational. So what this literally means is create less water with the rag is the more literal translation of that. Create less water with the rag, right? AKA soak up water with the rag. Yes, I like that. Okay. So do we already have what creational is? Creational is foo. And then that's ye, so it'll be like foo ye something. And then we need less. Let's go back over to our main. I've already lost where I am. Here we go. I don't want to print out all the spellbook entries, but I do want to print out some random examples. Let's run. Okay, so we want the word for less. Okay, I'll get back to that chat real quick. Let me just pick something here. Mew. I feel like we've been picking a lot of like M's though. Fey, riff. I like the like mu though. We could do like view, VYU, view could be weird. I think that's allowed in the language. VYU. I think that's allowed. I think that could be it. Let me look at my rules real quick. I don't think there's anything that keeps it from being view. So let's go with that. Less. Okay. So you were saying create less water might be a mistranslation because what's being made is literally less water than is already present as opposed to less water being added. Yeah, that's true. It's not create less water. It's like create the state of there being less water. Maybe. AKA. Yeah. Create the state of there being less water. Maybe. Yeah, it's hard because a lot of these, which for anyone who is unfamiliar with this, the entire point of like the plot in the book I'm writing is that this language that we are conlanging right now is not something that anyone else actually understands. So there is a code language that like a secret society of the past has created to write down these spells, and like they knew the language, like they actually understood the language and what it means, and they created this code language to write it down. And that code language is like a mix of like, what are the words for it, but it's like lexigraphs and I can't remember, but it's like a mix of one symbol could either mean a full word, it could mean like a syllable of the word, it could mean just a letter, right? Like it's kind of that intermediary state. So it's really, really hard to translate, especially by people that do not understand the language, and the main language being spoken like by the people that are wrong there. Don't make fun of my grammar. Oh my god. Thank you for catching that. What was I saying? But yes, like the main people's language is more similar to like our language, so they're trying to understand this language, which is really hard for them to translate. So the fact that there is logosyllabary, yes, however you actually pronounce that without sounding dumb, logosyllabary. I feel like it sounds like a type of cereal, but yes, it's like that is the idea. So like the whole part of the plot of the book is them trying to figure out this spell by translating these grimoires of this weird syllable language that both is a language that they can't directly translate, and so the only way to like kind of even figure out how to like pronounce these spells is through like trial and error, which could get them killed and is dangerous. And like I can play around with like, okay, once I have this spell I want them to be trying to figure out what it means, I can play around with like, okay, but like I'm not going to actually make whatever the like logosyllabary whatever is, but I can be like, okay, this sound starts with this, let me pick a longer word that kind of starts with the same thing, or like play around with some spells that have similar parts and have those be like dangerous things and then cause problems. Like that's like the whole thing for this. Looks like the word siblings to me, since I know logos is words or something like that. Yeah. Logosyllabary? I don't know. I probably should just ask Google to pronounce it for me, but alas, I shall not. I might do it later. But yes. So that's the whole point, is for this to be confusing. So anywhere where like this, where the translation is kind of obtuse and it doesn't mean exactly what you might directly translate it to in like English or their equivalent, like that is what I want. I want it to be as like easy for me to create like this. Like I don't want these giant super long words, but I want it to have that level of like, you know, not direct translatable. Oh, not the words siblings, but words that are siblings. That makes more sense. Yes. Yes, I follow that. So okay, so now we're going to print out the spell book again and see what this looks like. Although, wait, did I do what I said I was going to do, where I was going to make this and view fam? Okay, yes, I did. So they're going to use different rules because one ends in a vowel and one ends in a consonant. So I just want to see how those look different. Okay. So we have scrub with a rag. Oh, it would help if I actually added that spell to my spell book. Hello, Madeline. Glad I could join a stream of. Yes, I'm glad too. Welcome. We're up to shenanigans. Yes. Okay, so let's add our other spell here real quick, which is this guy, which we'll actually put here. So, I'm just going to call it sponge spell because it's just soaking up water, which I don't know. Well, we'll call it that. And then I want the full description, which is this. Sort of like create the state of there being less water, which I mean, again, you're right, isn't super a great way to translate that, but I feel like it's close enough. Okay, so now we'll run this and see what it looks like. Okay, so our scrub with a rag is still Famimise Sonve, and this is, oh boy, Viewfoyemis. Viewfoyemis? Viewfoyemis Sonve. Viewfoyemis Sonve. Yeah, it looks a little weird, but like this kind of language, those can get kind of long, and you know, maybe it'll look a little bit better with some sound change applied, but I think that works. And you can see this, emiss, those parts are the same. And then, yeah. I think that's good. This one's longer because it has more pieces in there, so I think that works. So that's 2 more spells in our spell book. So now I want to do something different. Something entirely different. What do we want to do next? What we have instrumental. We could do another marker. We could do like a lative trigger. That could be an option. We could do something like that. Or locative, maybe. Which could be something like, bring me the potion on that shelf. Or something like that. Or bring me... I feel like something like that would work. Like, bring me the potion on the shelf, or... Not being a great translation could just mean it is mistranslated, although that doesn't help you if you don't know the actual translation, but a mistranslation could be fun to play with in story. Exactly. All the mistranslations, right? Like, that is the plot points that we are aiming for here. Or tense. No, I don't want to do future because I don't want anything conditional because we made a mistake being too complicated last time, even though it was fun. We already have most of the locative markers, but we don't have lative markers. So let's do a spell with a lative marker. Oh. Wait, okay, hold on. Let me wrap my brain around this again. So markers that trigger an unincorporated indirect object to indicate motion in directionally. It's great when I write my documentation wrong. In directionally reference to a location. So it has to be something like involving movement here in order to use lative instead of locative. So happening through something, happening away from. So this could be like move the bucket away from the tree or something like that, right? I think you may have originally meant in directional reference. Yes, in directional reference to a location. Yes, that is what I meant before. Thank you. That will help me understand this in the future when I forget again. Yes, okay. So in directional reference to a location. So it could happen to or towards, so like bringing something to or towards something, moving something into. So this could be like move a log into the fire. Like move a log into the fire. Although I feel like put a log within the fire would make more sense there. So let's not do that. Let's do into the forest, through the forest. Oh wait, I had something for using this. Did we not already use that actually? Because I thought I had something that was like bringing wind through the greenhouse. Oh no, that's what we did here, which is we used a locative within there instead of through. Never mind. So lative. Away from, through, into, away from. Into the fire. I don't know why I keep thinking of fire. That's like, I feel like it's one of the easiest ones for me to visualize. Like, I don't know. But moving something into or away from. What if we just do a really basic spell that's just like blow through the house, right? Like say you know, I actually have this in the first chapter of the book right now where they accidentally drop a whole batch of potions that are essentially like, I call them fog spill potions that just create fog or create like clouds on the ground. Um, and so potentially she could use the spell to then blow through the house to help move all the smoke or the fog or like whatever's happening, you know, like bring fresh air. So blow through the house. Let's do that. So blow through the house. Always fun to look back at something you wrote as a reminder. Your mind just goes, was I high when I wrote that? I definitely do that a lot where I just can't remember what I wrote before or what I meant when I left notes for stuff. I do this a lot at work actually. So a very adjacent to coding thing for me. Blow through the house like an air conditioner or a cleaning spell. Yeah, like I'm being more like bring fresh air through, right? Like, you know, just like blow wind through the house, right? Because the spirits are essentially like winds is sort of what they are. So just saying blow through the house sort of means they just travel through the house bringing fresh air and, you know, clearing the air, I guess. So we want to copy a spell and then blow through the house spell. So we'll want blow will be our verb somehow. This will be lative. So blow through the house. So our indirect object is going to be house, which we might already have. I'll have to look. And then this is going to be lative through marker. So lative. Noun, declension, suffix. Did I not do this? I have not. Oh no, okay. Our locative marker is applied to, or wait, hold on. Our locative noun declension suffix is used for both lative and locative trigger markers. Yes, okay. Because they sort of like have the same thing, like you're the action by the location, right? Or how you're referencing the location and then the location. We could potentially split that out, but I like having that. It's like a weird I don't know, like it's just an extra rule makes it a little bit more interesting. So it's still locative, and then we don't need an instrumental marker. We need a lative. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Through. And then we're going to need house. Yeah, so blow through the house. Yeah, that's the idea. So let's go here and figure out what we want below to be. I feel like I've used that sort of before. I guess when I've used this before, I've mostly just said like when I was saying like bring rain, I literally just said bring rain. So maybe blow could be bring wind or create wind, might be, or create sky. I think is kind of what I was using as both like sky kind of both means like sky, it kind of means air, it kind of means wind, it sort of means all of those things. So like wet skies, which means rain, could also mean like wet air or like I think that noun sort of means all of those things. Sky, wind, air. Create wind or sky could make sense. Yeah, I think so too. So we'll use sky because again, we also already have that. So sky and then action morpheme of creational. Yeah. Create sky. So blow, right? Create sky through the house, right? Blow through the house. I think that makes sense. Create air through the house. So then we need house, right? Do I have that already? I don't think I actually have house already. So that could just mean building. I think we have building already because it doesn't have to be house. So let's see. Did we actually use greenhouse? Oh, we did. We used greenhouse. Oh, I haven't actually generated the words for this. We just figured out what the actual grammar would be for this spell. Do you have a list of known words somewhere? No, I don't. I'm just kind of doing it as I go along. Is kind of what I've been doing. But yeah, I think I just want like building, I think, instead of house. I think we want to be more general here. So let's do like building. Building or house. And is there anything we want to use for that? I mean, container. It could be interesting to have building just mean like great container. Like that would be kind of funny. Because container is mouge, and then if we look at our intensifier, so if we say like cha or wan, so mouge cha would just mean great container, and that's a building. I don't know why I think that's so funny, but I do. Let me just see like what I think of that. It's kind of dumb, but cha or wan. Mujwan. And this would like probably get condensed into another I don't know. I feel like there would be sound changes there where this would become like a more morphalized or whatever word. There's terms for that. I don't remember what they are, but like to take it away from meaning that, but means great container. Let's see. If you have a place that you will remember to update, making a lexicon might be a good idea. Yeah, I need to figure out how I want to do that in the long term because ideally right now, this here, right, where I define all these individual words, like this is sort of my lexicon. And then I want to add them all into these morphemes list. And this is how I'm going to keep it from regenerating these morphemes elsewhere. So I won't accidentally have like the same morphemes used in multiple things. So we'll see. I might like once I fully do this, I may create something more like, you know, referenceable. But for right now, I just kind of have these lists of things here, and that's kind of what I'm using. The Great Container sounds like a crappy superhero. Is it like The Great Pretender? Because my mind is hearing music from that in my mind. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but like having those combined words just it makes me happy because it's silly. So let's do that. So make, what am I looking at? This is not what I, blow through the house. Okay, here we go. Blow through the house, sky creational house, which is just building. Through the building, aka the container, because that's funny. And then you could use a variation of this spell, just changing, like, you know, the size of the container, and it could be like, you know, different spells then. So let's see what we have. We have, okay, we have to create sky. We already have creational. We need to create through. We already have building. And we already have our locative marker. So let's go to sky, which is good. I'm surprised I didn't already have that, given that I'm already using it in things. Okay. I feel like this should be a really, really basic or really interesting one because, again, like, the whole nature of the magic system is sort of like these, like, air or wind spirits. Oh, wait. Ta-da. Ta-da. Rerun. Okay. So yeah, I feel like we need something that has a little bit of, like, oomph to it. So, what looks unique? Yas, Swo, Nor, Rule. Rule? I kind of like that, actually, rule. It's kind of weird. I definitely haven't used something like it before. I think it's distinctive. We'll go with that. And then we needed a lative trigger marker, which our locative ones are all consonants ending in a consonant. So maybe we do that too. Let's see, which ones do we have? Null, sil, for sim. Sim, maybe. Just a random thing. Nor, and you are. Do I use something like that? Nor. Just pick that. Yos. Do we have something like that? Not too close. We'll go Yos. And Yaw. Let's see. Okay. It could be interesting if the words for the various spirit types was the name of an ancient spirit ruler. Yeah, that could be interesting. There's just so much room with this for, like, naming things. It's a lot of fun. Sim, like The Sims. I love The Sims. I don't play very much anymore, but I'm a big fan of The Sims. I tried to create the mansion for this in The Sims, and then I ended up just drawing it instead, but I love The Sims. I used to play for hours and hours. Okay. So I think we have, where am I? Here we go. I think we have all these created now. We have sky, we have creational, we have through, we have building, we have locative. So let's add this to the spellbook. And this is basically like, I'm just going to call it the fresh air spell, because that's sort of what it is, right? It's bringing fresh air, even with, though what it's technically doing is blow air through the building. That's kind of what we got. So then let's see what that spell looks like. Run. Oh boy. Okay. Rule Fusim Mujwanuth. That sounds fancy. I like it. I think that works. It's definitely long, right? Rule Fusim Mujwanuth, something like that. Hey, just jumping in to say, super appreciated your role-playing series. Helped me a bunch. Good luck with this craziness. Thank you very much. I'm glad you liked it. Yes, the craziness. It is good. Yeah, I like that. I feel like that's pretty pronounceable. Like, even though you initially look at that and you know that's something like, it's very un-English, but I feel like it's relatively pronounceable. I like that. Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay, now I think we need to do something slightly weirder. Just slightly, like a little bit weirder, because we're making good progress through all of this. Like, we still don't have any aspects, but I don't know. They make me a little nervous. Dative. We could do a dative, because it triggers. This is sort of similar to the. Oh, well, no, this is the exact same things that we've already been doing, right? It's the exact same format. So we could either knock one of these out really quick, or we can try and do something more weird. If you have an opinion, let me know what it is. Dative or weirder? Because we have that. What else don't we have? Could do few. Again, like, this would be getting into conditional. If we wanted to do something conditional, I would probably need to actually create the object for that, which right now we have the spell, which this is my spell class right now. I would need to basically add another like field to this class, which would probably have a sub object, which is the like conditional clause or like other clause, because we don't have a way to codify or generate that right now, which I need to do. I need to do that. Or what else could I do? That's done. That's done. That's done. That might honestly be the last non-weird thing we have to generate, other than just doing some weird stuff. So let's just do that. Let's do a dative spell. So this is triggering a recipient or a beneficiary. So this could get a little weird, but this could either, let's see. What might be an example with a beneficiary or a recipient? I mean, like sending this, well, it's not to someone else. Let's see. Let's see. Something with a recipient or a beneficiary. The verb, changing the verb to have a recipient. Where do I have examples of this? Hold on. We're going to stop the screen and we're going to switch over to where is it? Here. Okay. We're going to jump into here real quick. Because I have in here got some examples. Dative. Thought I had examples of this. Okay, so there's nothing dative there. Did I not actually create something dative here? I could have sworn I had more examples for this. Oh. So, okay, so what's a general verb that has a dative, a recipient? If you were saying to burn something, is that a verb that automatically has a sort of like dative object added to it? Like if you were saying like burn the tree is sort of the recipient of the fire? Is that sort of an example of that? Or maybe, let's think. Gust of wind, start fire. recipient. I guess if you were, maybe another way of if you were saying like make the air wet, like create rain, like the air could sort of be the recipient of the like the wet, I guess. But obviously that's not how we actually did that in this language, so I don't want to do that. But why is this so hard for me? Dative, a recipient. I mean, I feel like I keep tending to do things that like add extra words. Like in English, like you could add things to a pot where we would say like add this to the pot, but incorporate, like we could have a way of saying like incorporate ingredient, so incorporate this into the potion, maybe could be using dative, where the potion would be sort of the recipient, like incorporate this to the potion, maybe. Let's switch back over. There we go. So let's try something like that. Here we go. So incorporate ingredient into the potion. Come on. There we go. So let's set this up. Incorporate potion ingredient. See, seems like it might be useful for you to study how American Sign Language is structured, because I know a lot of words are not used in sentence structure. Oh, that's an idea. Yeah, I could definitely take a look through that. I feel like there's a number of things I need to research that could help with this, because other polysynthetic languages, like the one I'm creating here, also kind of have a similar vibe too. But ASL might be a good example that I should look at later. Yes, I should do that. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay. Incorporate would be our verb, and then ingredient spell. Oh wait, I was saying potion ingredient spell. So we did something similar before where we had like stir the potion, or stir this container, stir the liquids of this container. But the way this did it was it used like wet or liquid as the direct object, which we're not. So that's actually not super helpful. But we can use this for the potion, right? Because it's just like a liquid, right? How is my camera's apparently low on battery. So I may have to stop soon. Can't tell how low it is though. But it's plugged in, so I don't know why it's losing battery. But yes, so we want wet will be like liquid, right? And this is dative. And then we want, this is not a locative or whatever, this is dative, and dative is right above that one. So to the potion. Then we really just need the word for like incorporate, which, let me pull up our action morphemes. Okay, so I feel like use ingredient, like an instrumental on the word ingredient, could sort of mean incorporate. Like if you have like a word that sort of means part or ingredient of, and then you add instrumental onto it, that's, I feel like incorporating that would make sense. So maybe we do instrumental and then the word ingredient or part. let's do it just could be part ingredient. Yeah. And then, let's see, it always scrolls down for me. Let's uncomment that out. We'll just leave it all for now because we'll need to print out the whole spell in a minute. Let's do, I feel like I should have woo somewhere. I'm just going to click through these real quick. Ignore me. Maybe I don't actually. Woo. Okay, let's do that. Let's do woo. Woo. So this is use the ingredient / part to the liquid is sort of what that would mean. And then we need to do 2. So let's add that real quick. So 2, let's do Siav, Reese. Let's just do like gym. I don't think I have a gym yet. So then let's add this to the spell book. The incorporate potion ingredient spell. Incorporate ingredient. Something like that. And then we will run this again and see what this looks like. And then this is probably going to be the last spell for today. Incorporate ingredient spell. Wunijim Yif. Wunijim Yif. I think that seems pretty reasonable to me for a spell. I like it. Okay. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up this. I need to add another object to be able to do conditionals, and we can do that another time. But Wednesday, we are going to be streaming at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to work on the sound change system, which is going to be, I feel like I have in here somewhere. Where's my method for that? This essentially is we're going to add all the rules, and then it's going to be a lot of generating and looking at the words and trying to make them make sense. And then doing stuff like that. So there'll be a little bit of coding as I code out how to actually apply the Sandi rules. And then just a lot of generating and looking at things. We won't be making any new spells probably unless we want to we need an example that uses one of the rules we're playing around with. But otherwise we'll just be doing that. But thank you everyone for, tuning in, helping out, providing some ideas, keeping me company. It's been great. And yeah, have a good weekend. I will see you in the next stream.